Welcome back to the Wordy and Nerdy podcast. I'm Ren.
I'm John.
And today we are going to be talking about the new Superman movie. The DCU is back, people. And according to certain Snyder Bros, the death of all media. My friend read me a tweet or something the other day that was like, the Snyder Bro was like, after the tremendous flop that was the evil James Gunn whatever, it lays the path for a return to the Snyderverse. With Ben Affleck as Batman and Henry Cavill as Superman. I'm like, what is it like to live in an alternate reality that the Snyder Bros seem to inhabit? Like, what is it like to live in the fantasy realm? Honestly, let's just see right here. Let's just see how this flop has done so far. Yeah, it's already made its budget back at the box office after the first weekend. So I'm not quite sure what they mean. They said it's got to make $2 billion to break even because the theaters take 60%, which is not true.
60%? For what?
No. Budget $225 million. Box office so far $232 million. I think it'll be fine. It's been out for less than a week.
And no one knows how to profit those movies anyway. It's Hollywood accounting.
Because it's obviously you've got to take distribution cost. Theater gets their cut, if it's international distribution, there's international trade agreements, like China, I know, gets a pretty hefty cut when you distribute stuff to their markets. But still, even with all of that, it's made plenty of money. I think if it's made its budget back in the first weekend, that's usually a good sign as far as movies are concerned.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's never turn a profit. It's gonna make millions of dollars. I'm like, I just don't think that is correct, actually.
Also, profitability does not lead to good critical score anyway.
Yeah, plenty of stuff is critical without being or profitable without being critically acclaimed. But also just I think this is both critically. I think this has a good response from both critics and audiences. The scores. What are the Rotten Tomato scores right now? Okay, 83% for the tomato meter, 93% for the popcorn meter. So that means tomato meter is critics and popcorn meter is audiences, right? So 83%, 93%. So 10% difference. But the critics are always going to be more critical. And then Metacritic,
I believe it's a 7 something. But Metacritic's always harsh with their reviews. They always are.
Yeah, Metacritic, generally favorable, 7.4. I guess, I don't know, some people say that, the Metacritic is a little bit low or whatever, but, I personally have never once paid attention to Metacritic reviews. If I'm going to go see a movie and decide for myself if I like it, because I have this wild ability to think for myself. But yeah, we went and saw it this past weekend with some friends, and we really, I think we generally enjoyed it. There were some critiques that I think we both have, but all it really needed to do was not be disappointing and be a solid intro, kickoff point to the new DCU or the semi-new soft rebooted DCU, whatever the hell they're doing. It's the kickoff film. We've had a few shows. Well, I guess we've had Creature Commandos, which I think is technically the kickoff, but this is the first film kickoff. As far as things go, I enjoyed it. James Gunn has really never as far as his superhero movies go in general, I've always enjoyed them. I liked the Suicide Squad. I liked all 3 Guardians of the Galaxy, plus the Christmas special, Peacemaker show I really enjoyed. So I really think I liked Creature Commandos. I think I've enjoyed all of his projects that he's done with DC and Marvel, frankly.
Yeah. So, going to the movie, I loved it, by the way. It's not surprising at all.
Did you think it was better than Man of Steel?
Yeah, oh my god. Jesus Christ. Yes. Okay, I grew up, for Superman-wise, watching Cam and Justice League, the animated series. That was my first interpretation I ever saw of Superman. And I've been kind of just waiting forever to actually have a Superman that's semi-like the one I saw in Justice League animated series. And this is the closest I think I'm ever going to get.
Fun fact, when I was little, I thought Superman and Batman were the same person. They were just wearing different outfits. Because in the comics, particularly the old comics, they're drawn the exact same way. They just have these very square jaws. So I just think they were thinking, this is just some guy in different outfits.
So did you think Clark Kent and Bruce Wayne were the same
I don't
even
think I thought that far ahead. I don't even think I thought about their human identities or whatever. Mind you, when I say little, I mean 4 or 5. But I'm just as far as I can have little things are just 2 dudes with square faces. I just thought, maybe Batman was just like the edgier outfit, when he's feeling, kind of edgy. I don't know. Like I said, I was a toddler, but I do remember. I mean, to be fair, I also thought that football players' heads were shaped like helmets. I didn't think that they had like actual heads. Again, I was a child, but. But all that to say that, I'm trying to think of my first, like, real exposure to Superman. Like I said, the earliest thought that I remember having is, like, oh, those are the same people. But, like, in terms of, like, what I've seen, it was probably, like, Justice League or something like that on, like, WB. But I'm honestly trying to think of, like, what Superman products I've really gotten into. I'll be honest, Superman has never really been my favorite because he's a little bit, I don't know, he's a little bit basic. He's kind of the ubermensch, he's a guy that can do everything. It's usually, I think a lot of people have a hard time writing for Superman and making him interesting because a guy that, is pretty, like, perfect, and that's his whole vibe. That's who he's supposed to be. I do think there is a way to make that interesting, but I think that a lot of writers have sort of failed at it, and I think that one of the things that this movie did well was sort of humanize Superman and give him a personality that isn't just like, I'm a good guy who does nice things. Like, he had more personality than that. He had some edge, and I liked that.
Yeah, you're not wrong. James Gunn even said, oftentimes Superman media has been just a perfect blank slate without personality. That's not David's Superman at all. And I have to agree, like, this Superman that he goes out of the way saving people. Like, I love that appreciation of Superman a lot. Like, he cares about anything, like animals. He even saved a squirrel. Like, or just randomly. And, like, he is just earnest and kind, and he trusts people to a detriment that movie goes into. Like, the reason why I really like this version of Superman a lot is definitely because his adopted parents and that whole... I know people don't really like that twist of, like...
Spoilers, by the way. I mean, I think, like, all of our reviews are spoiler reviews, but just FYI, just... Out of consideration, I suppose, mention that it is spoilers.
Yeah, but okay, what did you feel about the whole twist about his parents being evil per se, or wanting Superman to come down to set his own offspring and all that stuff?
Yeah, so first of all, I thought it was weird that people had like a negative reaction as though this is the first time that the Kryptonians have ever been portrayed as like space colonizers, because like that's definitely not the first time that's happened. It happened a little bit in My Adventures of Superman. Maybe like Jor-El and whatever the fuck his mom's name is. What is her mom's name? I honestly don't remember. I remember his dad's name is Jor-El, but I don't remember his mom. Like, I truly do not remember. But maybe they weren't specifically evil, but like definitely there were Kryptonians whose idea of like being, they were basically like Viltrumites. Like, we're a superior society and we must spread our superiority and like quote unquote improve other places by like, taking them over violently. And so, and honestly, I think that's the whole reason, like, the Viltrumites were a thing, is because, let's be honest, like, Invincible is such a crib of, like, early Superman stuff, and with Omni-Man, but it's just, like, Omni-Man is answers that question that is so brilliant and no writer has ever conceived before, which is, what if Superman were evil? We've never explored that. Evil Superman, you've got to be kidding me. That's so novel. We've never explored that in like every piece of Superman media and Superman adjacent media and other heroes that aren't Superman but are clearly supposed to be Superman, and The Boys and Invincible. What if Superman were evil, John? Don't you think that's an interesting concept?
I don't think that's interesting at all. It got tedious so fucking fast. Like, even in the DC universe, we didn't have a chance of Henry Cavill to be this earnest and kind Superman, because Zack wanted a future version of Henry Cavill's Superman controlled by Darkseid and all that shit.
Yeah, God. And I also just like the crazy plots that were established. Like, I remember in the first Suicide Squad movie, which, we'd never speak of, but I remember how Amanda Waller's, like, argument when she's, like, convincing the government officials to, like, greenlight her Suicide Squad program is, like, what if Superman decided to, like, kidnap the president and, like, blow up the White House or something? And just, like, what if? And if that did happen, what the hell is fucking Harley Quinn with a baseball bat gonna do about it? Like, can we be fucking serious? So I am very tired of the whole Superman but evil concept. So, but back to the point at hand, which is like the whole idea of the Kryptonians being like space colonizers, and rather than being like good and just or whatever, and Superman having to wrestle with that as something that he's like, oh, what, like I thought my parents wanted me sent me here to do good. But they actually sent me here to like be a fucking colonizer, and I feel kind of conflicted and confused about like my purpose. And I thought it was really beautiful how the movie starts with him telling his robots at his headquarters to show his message from his parents when he was healing, which was the message from the Kryptonian parents, where the second half of it had gotten corrupted in transit, so he didn't know what the second half said. So based on the first half, it sounded like a good message. And then later, Lex Luthor reveals that the second half of the message is actually like bad, and they're basically like, start a harem, take many wives, and have hella babies, and like put Kryptonians all over the world, and so he's like, torn up about that. But then he has this conversation with his Earth dad, and he's like later, where he's sort of just like, I thought that they wanted one thing, and now I realize that they wanted something else, and I'm just sort of confused. And his dad basically goes, I think what you wanted that message to say says more about you than anything else. Like, it doesn't matter what it actually said. It matters that you took it to mean that you were here to be a good person, and you want to be a good person. And I also like what he said about how he's like, it's not for parents to like decide who their kids are going to be. We're just there to sort of guide you, but you have to make your own decisions. I just thought it was a really beautiful scene.
I love his adopted parents a lot, like in this movie. They're not in the movie a lot, but there are times they are. It's like phenomenal.
So much better than whatever the hell we got in Man of Steel.
Oh my God.
Batman v Superman.
Like that talk about pretty much how the adopted dad said, we pretty much give our children tools basically for throughout their lives, and we don't set goals for them. And I think it's really a powerful message because he wasn't gave the goal to his parents, like saying, oh, you have to be good. It was him. He wanted to do this. He's just a nerdy good-all that wants to do good by any means necessary. Mm-hmm. I do have a few cons. I do want to bring up one con that I think the movie should have done. So the movie opens up with basically this synopsis of like how the universe was born. Like 3 centuries ago, metahumans took over. Then 3 decades ago, Superman came by. And then 3 years ago, Superman announced himself in the world. And then 3 weeks ago, he stopped this pretty much invasion of this another nation going over and attacking another nation. And then 3 hours ago, he's got his ass kicked. Mm-hmm. The problem that I have is that we never see what Superman did to stop this invasion. And I feel like they could have shown that scene because it's kind of pivotal for the movie. Like
pivotal.
Yeah. Like, because we see all other people from that nation that Superman basically saved pretty much tear him on. But we never see what exactly he did. We just are told he stopped something.
Onto the whole, like, the thing with the Glarkos and Jarhumpur. Those two factions in this movie, very clear. People will argue other things, but I think, and many other people feel that they were pretty clear allegories to Israel and Palestine. Yeah. And first of all, it's fascinating to me to see how much can change in a year or in a couple of years. Like, obviously Israel and Palestine thing has been going on for like over 70 years. But in terms of like the most recent like issues with, the quote unquote conflict, of course it's not fucking conflict, but the most recent like invasions and genocide that Israel has been engaging in with Palestine with the backing of the American government. The fact that a message could be so openly pro-Palestine, I don't think even 2 years ago that would have gone over very well, or people would have just pretended they didn't know what it was about or said it was about other things. People are trying to say it's actually about Russia and the Ukraine, which doesn't make any sense because Glarkos is like heavily allied with the United States, like Israel, and Russia is not the United States ally. We are famously enemies and have been for decades. So like literally a whole ass Cold War. Like Israel and Russia. I mean, the United States and Russia have never been fucking allies. So I just, it's obviously not about that, and also the fact that the people of Jarhanpur are like clearly like mostly black and brown people, and the people of Larkos are mostly not. And like people are like, oh well, you know, someone tried to cope. They were like, well, even though the Ukrainians aren't like brown, but like if they're but like Russia's also been like bad and imperialist to some brown countries, so that it's like a reference to them or whatever, which again, you have to bend yourself into fucking pretzels to come to that conclusion, when the much more obvious conclusion is it's Israel-Palestine. This reminds me of a thing. It does remind me of something that someone sent me yesterday, actually, where somebody on I don't know, they tweeted it or something, some guy. First of all, this is the same person, just for context. This is a person who, after Zora Mondani won the New York City mayoral primary, had tweeted that all Jews needed to get out of New York City immediately because like it wasn't safe for us anymore, because like, you know, I guess a Muslim might be the mayor, and like Palestine, and they're all gonna come, whatever, a bunch of hysterical nonsense about how, like, you know, having a problem with genocide makes you anti-Semitic, which of course it does not, but like there was the guy, so that's just a frame of reference with what we're dealing with, the guy who said that. And then he tweeted, in fact, let me see if I can pull it up. Yeah, here we go. Where this person, part of their tweet was, because my son with his innocent eyes asked me, Dad, why is Superman against Israel? Isn't he Jewish? And I'm just like, first of all, that didn't fucking happen. 100%, 100,000% did not happen. Like that, your kid did not fucking say that. Like, that did not fucking happen. Number two, yes, of course, Superman is intractably Jewish. He is a very Jewish character. He was created by Jewish writers, and a lot of his experience is meant to sort of mirror the Jewish immigrant experience.
This is the first Jewish actor who plays.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Okay. So that's also a thing. Yeah. This is David Cornsword is the first Jewish actor to play Superman, which is insane to me. Because what the fuck? Oh yeah. And what else I was gonna say was that and also his story is a little bit of a Moses allegory. People are like, oh, it's like Jesus. That's another thing that Zack Snyder didn't understand about Superman. Cutting back, I know I'm going all over the place, but cutting back to Zack Snyder's misunderstanding of fucking Superman, he kept making him a Jesus allegory. Yeah. That's incorrect. Superman is not Jesus, he is Moses, because he's fucking Jewish, and Jews don't care about Jesus. like he's not... He's Moses. He was sent away from his family, by his family, to protect him from like destruction, the way that Moses was put in a basket by his mother and sent off to the Pharaoh. Like, it's, come on, be fucking for real. And then Moses was sent off to eventually help the Israelites like get free from slavery, like the way that Superman is sent off somewhere to like help the people. It's a Moses allegory, not a Jesus allegory. So for the love of God, I never again want to see an image where Superman is like has his arms out like he's on a cross, and like everybody is like gathered around him like Jesus on a cross. No more of that, please. No more of that shit. I'm tired of it. But all of that, circling back around to the point, is that the idea that just because Superman is a Jewish character means he would just blindly be supportive of the imperialist nation state of Israel is a little stupid, and it's a lot stupid actually. And I'm honestly really glad that this movie, like, you know, just kind of went there. And you know, even though I know a lot of people are like, well, I mean, a lot of people are happy about it, obviously, but then some other people are just like, there's just, man, if you hate yourself, visit r/Israel, the subreddit. I'm not actually recommending that. I cannot in good conscience recommend that, because it is torment. But they are huffing some massive copium over there about the movie and trying to either swear that it isn't about Israel or just be mad that it is. Like, one of them said something like, oh, well, of course, if Israel speaks out against their characterization in this movie, then the response will be, well, if the shoe fits. Like, yes, what a massive self-report. Yes, the response will be, well, if the shoe fits. Because if you see this imperialist nation that is bullying this nation of brown people next to it, who clearly have, like, no military organization, who are in no way equipped for this very one-sided, quote-unquote, conflict, and you're like, oh, are you saying that's us? Yes, if the shoe fits, fucking wear it. Like, I don't, like, if you see yourself in that, maybe reflect on what that means. But anyway, that's enough about the fucking free Palestine.
Also, like, it goes into, like, Superman. Superman saves everyone. He does not care at all. And, like, clearly he was going to help out the people that are being attacked by another nation.
Yeah.
For no reason at all.
Yeah, and also it's important to note that the reason that Glarkos justified their invasion of Jarhanpur is because they were like, well, the Jarhanpurian government is, like, corrupt or whatever, so we need to save them from their government, which is exactly what Israel does now. They're like, well, Hamas is bad. We're only fighting Hamas. Hamas is bad, so we need to, like, liberate the Palestinians from Hamas by bombing the shit out of them, which is not a fucking valid argument, but that's the argument that they will make. So it was just, again, very significant that was the argument that they made, because, again, the parallels were very obvious.
And this all has to go with Lex's grand plan of pretty much trying to take down Superman. And I love this version of Lex Luthor.
I love that they captured how fucking petty he is. Lex Luthor is a petty little bitch.
Like, I have, like, a quote from, basically, James Gunn saying, Lex is the world's greatest man in so many ways. He's done these unparalleled things. And then you get a guy who comes in who does nothing and deserves it and has the ability to fly, to smash down buildings. He is extraordinary and handsome, too. And all of a sudden, all the world is talking about him. And it's sort of obvious with being replaced with beings with your gift not being seen or passed over. And I think that is what drives Lex.
Yeah, no, for real. Yeah, I mean, and he basically said that. He had this whole monologue where he was basically like, you know, I really like how self-aware this Lex Luthor was. Yeah. He was very just like, yes, I am a petty bastard, and yes, I do hate you, specifically because I have done all of this great stuff and done all this work to be recognized, and they mentioned me in the same breath as like Galileo and stuff like that, but at least like those people did something, and you just show up out of nowhere and you're so much better and stronger and more powerful than me, and everyone loves you, and I really, really hate you for that. And it's very point blank. It's sort of like, a lot of times people will say it's a little corny when like a villain just like monologues their whole motivation, but honestly I kind of liked it because it's very Lex Luthor, and it's very it just doesn't let there be any sort of like ambiguity about who Lex is and what his motivations are. Why does he hate Superman? Because Superman makes him feel inferior. And I also like Superman's response to that, where his whole monologue, where he was basically like, that's where you're wrong, Lex. You've always been wrong about me being like an alien, because that's another thing James Gunn talked about, this being an alien story, which people were like, oh, those aliens, illegal aliens, how could you say that? And I'm like, yes, again, Superman was based on the immigrant experience, and yes, he quite literally is an alien. Superman says, like, I'm as human as anyone. I love, I get scared, I wake up every morning, and despite not knowing what to do, I put one foot in front of the other, and I try to make the best choices I can. I screw up all the time, but that is being human. And that is my greatest strength. It was just beautiful. I mean, it brought me to tears. And, you know, you can call me a corny motherfucker. I am a corny motherfucker, but I liked it.
Like, I think it is just so amazing to have these two interpretations of Lex and Superman, because they feel straight out of the comics and straight out of, like, the animated series. Like, the same thing that I got to know Lex Luthor was Justice League, the animated series. And same thing in the animated series. He's a petty little bitch that hates Superman. And I'm just glad we finally got this version of Lex after what
John isn't saying is that his personal favorite portrayal of Lex Luthor was by Jesse Eisenberg in Man of Steel.
Don't you dare put that shit online. Okay, I hate the version of Jesse Eisenberg.
Tell them about how your first piece of media criticism was actually about how much you hated that Lex Luthor. Like, I want to hear more.
Okay,
let them know about that.
This is before this was back in college when Batman v Superman first came out. I saw the movie one time. What I imagined could not be real. So I saw it again, and I'm like, oh shit, it's that bad. And then I spent like a whole weekend, and I did not even post this Word document anyway, about me complaining about this version of Lex Luthor, Jesse Eisenberg's. And it's on an old computer somewhere. I don't know where it is. But if I find it one day, maybe I'll post it on Patreon or something.
It'd be great if you could dig that up again, because I'd love to hear that again. I think that this Lex Luthor, again, just very comic accurate. Again, I hate when people try to make every villain seem like some like super powered like Giga Chad, like no, like Lex Luthor is a petty little asshole. I think that he captured the just like general like petty bitchiness of Lex so well. The actor who plays Lex, Nicholas Holt's performance, I thought was just really good. You can tell like he's very smart, but he's also very immature. He like literally throws like tantrums if like when he's like the way he was like holding his head, just like fucking freaking out when like Superman managed to like break out of the trap he had set, just like
and then he's knocking down like that cup and making his assistants
and making his assistants clean it up. He's just like throwing stuff on the floor, clean it up. Like it's just a bitch. He's just a petty little bitch, and he just captured that so perfectly. Speaking of like the cons and stuff, one of the things I talked to a friend about this, and she was talking about how like she liked it overall, but one of the things she doesn't really like is how Gunn tends to handle women and brown people. I don't so much agree with her about the women. I think the women were portrayed pretty in a pretty nuanced way. I do agree that the sidekick, Lex's sidekick woman that with the like who could make her hands into knives, she didn't have much of a personality. I didn't think.
No.
But I thought the other women in the movie, like Hawk Girl and Martha and Lois Lane. I thought that most of the women.
Honestly, I thought Lois Lane was like phenomenal. Like that little interview at the beginning of the movie where.
Oh yeah, where she interviews him. Yeah.
Yeah, where she pros the own preposition to him, pretty much like saying, "You always trust people, and I don't.
Yeah.
I do.
I question everybody's motivations and stuff like that." Yeah, no, it was because that's another thing that a lot of other adaptations have not done well in the past is make Lois Lane interesting. Like, was she remotely interesting in Man of Steel?
The worst thing you can ever do with a superhero love interest is make them a damsel in distress for the for the superhero to save. And that's all Lois Lane was in Man of Steel and Batman v Superman. And that's why she was boring as hell.
And in this movie, they literally flipped that. And I think they kind of did this in My Adventures of Superman too, which is why I also like that Lois. Because in both of those situations, in My Adventures of Superman and in this movie, Lois saves Clark on more than one occasion. Like, it's like, he might save her sometimes, but like, she absolutely, like, in My Adventures of Superman, she is actively, like, trying to save him. And she's the only one who's, like, actively trying to save him for a while, her and Jimmy, when he's, like, getting taken to another planet or whatever. And then in this movie, like, Lois, convinces Mr. Terrific to help, she opens up a whole, alternate dimension or whatever to, save him. She doesn't have superpowers, but she has investigative abilities, which, again, that's another thing that you need to highlight for Lois if you want to make her interesting. She's an investigative reporter, so make her someone who is intelligent. Like, Lois might not have superpowers, but she's intelligent. She knows how to follow a lead. So, to have her use her strengths like that to find somebody who could open up the portal and to find Clark and save him really just flipped that whole damsel in distress thing on its head, because it was no, Lois is a perfectly capable woman unto herself. She doesn't, she may not have superpowers, but that does not make her, useless.
Yeah, I love this impersonation of Lois Lane a lot, and you actually feel their chemistry, a lot better than Man of Steel, because they are, complete opposites, and opposites do attract.
Yeah, and they are, and just the fact that she holds Clark's feet to the fire a few times, because Clark honestly kind of throws a little tantrum and wants to storm out, and she's like, you always do that. Every time I question you about something, you just want to leave. And number one, it helps Clark being Clark, as much as we like him, as much as he is a good guy, he's not perfect. He has character flaws, and the fact that Lois is not afraid to call him on that, because they're in a real relationship. She's not just oh, I'm fawning over your every move. I love you, but you can. You're not, you can be an asshole sometimes.
Yeah.
It felt like a real relationship. It's not all sunshine and roses. But back to what I was saying about how James Gunn treats brown people. I do sometimes feel like James Gunn treats brown people a little bit like props. I think that he has lots of sympathies for the global south. I think that you see that in even the Suicide Squad. There's a lot of commentary and criticism about American intervention in South America, but even then, most of the brown people that we actually get to know in that movie are cannon fodder. They get murdered by the Suicide Squad, they get murdered by the bad guys, they get murdered by the giant starfish. They don't have personalities unto themselves. In this movie, Once again, I think the Jarhumpurans, again, yes, it's great that they like Superman. They're like rooting for Superman. They're asking for Superman to come help them. But we don't really get to know any of them on an individual level. They're just sort of there for Superman to save. And then there was another guy, I think he was maybe Indian, who was like a food stand guy. And I think he was some sort of South Asian, maybe not Indian, but he basically only exists at the beginning. He helps Superman out of a hole, and then Lex zeroes in on him, figures out who he is, and then kidnaps him to use as leverage to make Superman confess stuff or whatever, and he just ends up getting killed. And it's like, I don't love the idea of brown characters being introduced to be murdered for the motivation of the white character. That's not my favorite trope. So, I do think that James Gunn could do a little better with giving brown people agency in a lot of his films, but, at the end of the day, James Gunn is a white man, so, you gotta understand it to some extent. It's always gonna be, even when he has good politics, even when he has good social views, it's still gonna be through the lens of a privileged white man. So, bearing that in mind, it's not surprising that some of that is an oversight, but I do think that overall, it's generally handled well. That is one little quibble I have with some of his stuff.
Well, in positives, you have a whole list, but I want to kind of hear yours before I go into my long list of positives.
So, I mentioned a lot of my positives already, but just like I said, I loved his parents, Martha and John, I think. First of all, I loved that they felt authentically Southern. I feel like a lot of times, Martha and John Kent don't feel particularly Southern farmers. They just, they just have sort of generic, maybe Midwestern accents or something like that. But I love that these people sounded like people that my mom would go to church with. They sounded like good old down south home, Martha being like, oh, you don't pay him no mind, he's a big old mush. I was just like, I know so many little old white ladies who talk like this. And I just thought that was sweet. I also really liked the dynamic of that John was a lot more sensitive than Martha. Martha, of course she cared for her son and stuff, but she was more pragmatic, and John was more of the weepy one. And, I like that little flip. I just thought the whole dynamic with Clark, like you said, they weren't in the movie that much, but I thought every moment that they were on screen was great, and that they just, you could feel how much they cared for him. I loved the sequence at the end, like I said, at the beginning, he sees the video of his Kryptonian parents, and he's like, and where he doesn't realize that they're bad, but at the end, so the robots set up the same thing where they're like, oh, would you like to hear the recording of your parents? And so it's like, well, it's the same thing they asked at the beginning, so it's like, oh, is it going to be the recording of his his Kryptonian parents? But no, it's a recording of his Earth parents, and it's a recording of childhood videos of him, them raising him, and all of the moments that they spent together, Christmases and birthdays and all that kind of stuff. And it's just so sweet. It's just so sweet, because he's just and the whole time, the Iggy Pop song, I'm a punk rocker, and he's because he and Lois had this little debate about what's punk rock, because Lois is more hardcore edge punk, and Clark is like, I'm punk, she's like, no, you're not, and but he's like, well, maybe it's the real punk to be a good person. But I just thought it was so cute to wrap that up, to bookend the movie with him learning to appreciate his family here on Earth, and just realize it doesn't really matter what those people wanted from you. You didn't even fucking know them. You were a baby. These are the people who raised you. These are the people who helped you become the person that you are. And these are the people who care about you. And these are your parents. For all intents and purposes, it does not matter who your biological parents were. These are your parents. And I just really love that.
It was a beautiful message,
yeah.
At the end of the day. The other thing I want to say is, all the supporting cast is phenomenal, from the Daily Planet, from the Justice League. I know we didn't see much of Perry White, but I liked him, yeah. I really liked this version of Perry White, and I like this version of Daily Planet. The one thing I do have to criticize is the same thing with the most recent Robert Pattinson's Batman. We don't really see much of Clark Kent as a reporter, pretty much. We had that one scene of him in the Daily Planet, and then the rest of the movie is just pretty much him being Superman, whatever you think.
Yeah, I would argue that the Robert Pattinson Batman did have more of him being a detective than pretty much any other Batman project I've seen in a while.
I mean playing Bruce Wayne. or something.
Yeah, I think he played. Well, I mean, okay, like I guess I could see that a little bit. But yeah, I mean, he was Bruce Wayne, and there were some Bruce Wayne moments. I guess there could have been more. But one thing I did appreciate about the Robert Pattinson Batman is that like it showed him being an actual detective a lot more. Yeah. He was actually solving a mystery rather than because I feel like we forgot that whole Batman is a detective aspect of his character a lot. So I liked that they added that. But yeah, that's another thing. But yeah, no, I see what you're saying with that.
Yeah, it's just like we watched My Adventures with Superman, and we kind of been seeing him as a reporter, and we kind of didn't really get that.
Yeah, that's true. We didn't really get many moments of him like making a report. Pretty much the only report he mentioned was the one where he interviewed himself. So yeah.
I kind of wish we kind of got more dynamic of him and Jimmy. To be honest, I do like this version of Jimmy. How do you feel about this version of Jimmy?
I like Jimmy fine. I preferred My Adventures of Superman 1 because love of a black man from infinity to infinity. But I didn't have any issue with this Jimmy. I thought it was fun.
Him being a love magnet to everything.
Yeah, a love magnet, and kind of like he's kind of like this like nerdy like guy that just inexplicably gets tons of pussy. I just love. Did you love the Jimmy's characterization? And honestly, his relationship with like Lex's girlfriend was kind of cute. Like, she's obviously like very clingy and stuff, but I did like the idea that wasn't completely a ditz. Like, she was aware. Like, when she sent him a bunch of selfies, it wasn't just selfies. She had intentionally captured a bunch of important information in the background. So I did like that there was a little bit more of a layer to her.
And it also goes back to like Lex Luthor being so far up his own ass and not realizing his girlfriend's just pretty much taking selfies of every location he has ever been.
Yeah. She's basically like a mole. She gives Jimmy a bunch of information. And Lex is completely oblivious to it until like toward the end of the movie where he catches her sending him pictures. Yeah, I think and the reason I honestly think that speaks to who Lex is again as a person. He's very arrogant. Of course he doesn't think that his arm candy like trophy wife is actually like gonna turn against him because he doesn't think that other people have intelligence or agency. So like it makes sense that he would underestimate her in that way, and I like that.
What did you think of the Justice Gang, Mr. Terrific, Green Lantern, Hawkgirl, and all those?
I loved them. I thought they were really fun. I thought they were really fun characters. And even though like it wasn't centered around them or anything, but I thought they were in the movie the right amount of time. I thought the idea of them being sort of supporting characters was cool. I liked where they went to help the Jarhumporians when Superman was like split because they do that classic thing where like the hero, there's two problems happening at once. Oh, he'll have to choose. So I like that Superman decided to go and stop Lex Luthor, but he sent the Justice Gang to help the Jarhumporians. So the Jarhumporians are like they're calling for Superman, and then like Green Lantern shows up and he's like, "Sorry, kid, Superman couldn't make it, but you got an upgrade." And then he starts like he starts like flipping off tanks and like exploding them, and Hawkgirl like drops the dude from the sky, and I was so good. I loved it when she was like carrying their fucking Timu Netanyahu, and she's like carrying him over the thing, and he's like, "Oh, you wouldn't drop me. You're like a a good person or whatever, like Superman, because Superman doesn't like killing people, or whatever." And she's like, "I am not like Superman," and she just chucks him.
I thought they were phenomenal. Like, same with Metamorphosis, the alien, too.
Metamorpho. I think, yeah.
But the standout to me was definitely Mr. Terrific. Terrific.
Oh, yeah, I thought it was great.
Oh, my God.
Also, people were reacting a little weird on that on the internet. They were like, "Why is he talking in jive? He's supposed to be smart." And I'm like, God forbid a black man use AAVE and also be intelligent. Like, what is wrong with y'all?
Like, he even had, like, this standout action scene where Lois and Mr. Terrific went to go find him in this parallel dimension, and it pretty much had a song playing, like, Guardians of the Galaxy action scene.
Yeah, it was great. He threw a protective barrier around Lois, and then he just, like, controlled all of his little bots to, like, attack, to, like, just, like, knock all of these people out effortlessly. It's just really fun to watch. It was a great scene. He was, again, just a fun character. I didn't know too much about Mr. Terrific prior to did you?
No.
Yeah. But one of the things, that's another classic James Gunn. Well, number one, the music. James Gunn's always going to have that music, usually, like, pop from, like, the 70s and 80s, where, he grew up with. He's also always going to have, like, lesser-known characters. He's going to bring lesser-known characters to the front. He loves himself a like long forgotten, lesser known character like fucking Polka Dot Man. Like he loves that. So you know you're always gonna get like introduced to some hero that nobody has heard of in like 30 years, and so I love that he brought them in here.
And then they become like a fan favorite, like the
yeah.
Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah, like Guardians of the Galaxy. It was almost all unknowns.
Yeah, all of them are unknowns. Like a raccoon 10 years ago. What are you, Rocket?
Yeah. Just like he even put Howard the Duck in there.
Yeah.
I like that James Gunn likes to give shine to like the lesser known heroes, which I honestly think more people should do that, because we don't need the 75th film about Batman and the Joker. Like, there are other characters there.
What? Batman being overused?
Batman, and he fucking... I love Harley Quinn, but like I love that we can get Harley Quinn to play off some other characters that aren't Harley Quinn, because my god. Like, we're Poison Ivy. Again, I like Poison Ivy, but like we can branch a little beyond that sometimes. So I do like that there's always some characters that like you are either like underutilized or just haven't been utilized in a while. That's fun.
Also want to highlight, I believe this is the first time I would say that DC CGI was not complete garbage. Mm-hmm. It was actually pretty good.
It was pretty
good.
There were moments where I was like, oh, that's a little bit, but overall I thought it was good.
Yeah, I think it took a time, especially with the action scenes. I thought they were actually pretty good.
Yeah, I thought the action scenes were really good, especially the flying and stuff. The girl with the like nanobots that can change her body shape. I thought that was done well. It all looked real to me. Crypto's CGI was a little off at times. Really? I thought. Yeah, a little, not a lot, just a little. Where like this doesn't feel like a real dog, but didn't Gunn say he based it off his dog?
Yeah, he based it off his own dog.
Yeah, here we go. Because Gunn wanted Crypto to resemble his own pet as closely as possible, the first step involved a 3D scan of Ozu. Ozu, who is now better behaved than he used to be, despised the process, the director said, explaining, he has to stand on this table and then there's a globe of cameras all the way around him. They take pictures and we kind of move him around a bit and it gets every angle of him. So I like that. And I also like his relationship with Crypto. Like Crypto, I like how Crypto's a badass dog. I just like he's just like an ill-behaved dog. I like that he is just so like sloppy with like how he does everything. Because it's like I've seen interpretations of Crypto where he's like hyper intelligent and he just acts like a person. But it was fun to see him just act like a dog, and a poorly trained one at that. Like at one point Gunn says he's such a compassionate person, Superman, that he's worried about the dog being scared. That's the thing that upsets him. The dog is scared, and we've only ever seen the dog give him grief. I think it's really important that Superman is tuned into his own sense of compassion in that way. So the idea that, like the whole reason he lets himself get captured by Lex is because he's like worried about the dog, and we find out at the end that it's his cousin Kara's dog. And she's like a wild party girl who keeps hanging out on red sun planets because it's the only place she can get wasted. And explains why the dog is like so poorly behaved, because when she comes back to get him, he like jumps her and like slams her into the wall, and she just laughs, and it's just like oh, okay. Also, I thought the robots were really funny. Like at the early when they were like, he's like, why can't you control the dog or whatever? And he's like, I mean, and the robot's like, we feed it, but like he knows that we are not flesh and blood and could not in our heart of hearts care if he lives or dies.
I also really like how at the end, pretty much, like Lex is pretty much like flipping out because Superman foiled his plan, and Crypto goes attacks him. Yeah. And Superman's like, no, stop.
Yeah, and also the fact that the whole reason his plan like failed is because Crypto thinks that the nanobots are chew toys. So he's controlling because also there was a big twist where like the guy that Superman was fighting that kept beating him was actually just a clone of him. It was a clone of Superman, and which that's a little bit done to death. Like, oh, you're actually fighting an evil version of yourself. But like I thought it was done well enough. But I did like how they showed he was being controlled by the robots. So when he had almost beaten Clark, because he can basically predict every move that Clark's gonna make, and so the way that he offsets that is by the chaotic energy of Crypto, where he's like, hey Crypto, why don't you go fetch those toys? And he immediately just starts destroying these robots, and Lex is like, what the fuck? It's like he had planned for every contingency except like an ill-behaved super dog.
Yeah, he even said like this version that Superman's clone is dumb.
Yeah.
As hell. And like the only way this clone version ever beat the normal Superman is because these drones, his brain versus brawn, basically. And Superman basically got the upper hand. And probably, I don't know if you know anything, I feel like that version, because that one got sucked up in a black hole and stuff. It's probably gonna be Bizarro. People are running like.
He might be, yeah. I could definitely see him coming back.
Yeah, because he didn't die necessarily or anything.
Yeah, he just got sucked into an off-screen realm where he can be brought back at any time for any reason. The pocket dimension thing was kind of interesting too, because like Lex, we find out Lex is holding a lot of people that he doesn't like in a pocket dimension prison. It seems like a pretty organized place with a lot of people in it. So like the whole idea of him opening up pocket dimensions is something that they might explore more.
And like James already said, like you kind of hinted at the beginning, this is kind of a universe that has hints of the previous universe, because we even had a cameo.
Oh yeah, we had a cameo from Peacemaker, which I thought was hilarious. John Cena. Oh my god. That was so fucking funny. Like the way he was like, well, it's not surprising to me that Superman's not that good. Like he makes the rest of us look bad. What, this good guy act, he doesn't like killing people and makes the rest of us look like assholes just because we kill a bunch of people. It was so great.
And like, I know James Gunn's not everyone's cup of tea, basically. I just want to hint that he's not going to direct every movie going forward. There's going to be different writers and stuff. But the main thing he highlighted for the universe, for movies, we won't greenlight a film until the finished script and we're happy with it.
Hallelujah.
In general.
Hallelujah.
Because if
no more production hell,
no
more fucking Flash debacles where half that shit was being written as it was happening, and then you gotta film fucking makeup shots with somebody who was on the run from the cops because they committed multiple Batman-level crimes. I never want to see a production like that ever again in my life. That was a nightmare. So many of their movies were in production hell for 20 fucking years. We don't need that shit. The idea of not releasing a project until it is finished, until the script is complete, until they have a clear direction that they want to go, instead of just making it up as we go along, doing hella reshoots, cutting characters, adding characters, all this bullshit. That's how you get the Snyder cut. That's how you get all that shit. And then the studios, they start meddling and they start making it worse. And if Warner Brothers has any goddamn sense, which I don't think that they do, but if they have any goddamn sense, they will let them stick to that. Because Warner Brothers likes to meddle and shit, and then we get awful products. That's how we get Suicide Squad. That's how we get the fucking Justice League. That's how we get Batman v Superman. That's how we get the Flash movie. When we don't finish our scripts and have clear ideas and clear directions, and then we just start pulling shit out of our asses, and it's just I can't deal with it anymore. I like the idea of projects being able to be brought to completion because there's a competent plan for them.
And a question for you, one criticism that Gunn kind of gets is he undercuts emotional moments with funny humor. Do you think that's the case? Because sometimes that happens in his movies, but I feel like most of the time he's still able to bring the emotions at the end of the day.
I think he balances it pretty well.
Yeah.
I mean, I hear that, and there are movies where I think there are moments where I think you could argue that, but I honestly think that he is always, for the most part, I would say maybe 8 out of 10 times, balances humor and emotion pretty well. Because the Guardians of the Galaxy films are very funny, right? They're very sort of slapstick comedy films, but there are very emotional moments to them and very moving moments. I thought that all 3 of the Guardians films had really good and strong emotional cores. I thought that Guardians of the Galaxy 3 in particular, the way it focused on Rocket and his story, the fact that Rocket, up to this point, all we know Rocket as is just a wisecracking smartass, but the fact that it delves into his really traumatic backstory, I mean, there's hints of it before, but the fact that it really delves into his really traumatic backstory and his emotional drivers, I thought was just really impactful, and that movie made me cry like a baby. We watched it twice in theaters, I think, at least. I just think that, again, and even other characters like Star-Lord, I have been on record, I don't think Chris Pratt's a very good actor or person, but I did think that his performance as Star-Lord, particularly in Guardians of the Galaxy 3, was really good. I think it's the best acting performance he's given in quite some time. When he was demanding that they bring Rocket back from death or whatever, I just thought damn, he oofed me a little bit. Credit where it's due, he gave a good performance. So I do think that that overall he balances humor and heart pretty well. And I think the same thing with this movie. Yeah, it definitely had silly moments, but I didn't feel like the most important moments. It's not like when Clark was talking to his dad and he was like, I couldn't be more proud of you or whatever, that it immediately was interrupted by like some goofy shit, like there was a scene later where like Crypto was like terrorizing the cows, but that didn't happen right after, it was just like, I felt like there was, it's pretty good balance. I don't know, I feel like people honestly maybe take comic book movies a little too seriously in some regards, where it's like, this is still a comic book movie. I think it's, as someone who does read comic books, comics are like that too. Like, comics will have really serious moments and then a few panels later we'll have a joke, like, because they're comics. Like, it's okay to have some levity in your films. It doesn't always have to be like dead ass serious. I just think that it's, I do feel like you can go too far in the other direction. You can Marvel-fy your stuff a little too much and add jokes where it doesn't fit the humor, or it just doesn't work, or it's a little bit too quirky. I will never forget the moment that I was watching one of the newer Star Wars trilogies, the shitty one, and and I don't remember, I think it was maybe the second movie or whatever. Poe Dameron is like talking to like General Hux or something, and he makes like a yo mama joke. And I'm like, I remember like literally saying out loud, like, what Marvel writer snuck into the writers' room? I don't care that they're both being produced by Disney. That's not the vibe that Star Wars has. Like, Star Wars has funny moments too, but like, Star Wars is not Marvel, and you should not write it like Marvel. No one in Star Wars needs to be making yo mama jokes.
I don't think that was like the first line of the movie.
It was like one of the first scenes. Yeah, it was a very early scene where he's like, I'm landing on the planet. You gonna ask your mother or something. I'm like, hey, this is not like, no, get that Marvel shit out of my Star Wars. I do not keep those things separate. So yeah, absolutely, there is a such thing as too much quirky humor. But I felt the same way about Thunderbolts, where I felt like it was a little bit of a return to form for Marvel, where there were definitely funny moments and moments where they didn't take themselves too seriously, but there were also a lot of like serious moments.
Yeah, I believe he does a great balance overall for this movie. Like, I believe the emotional moments, especially with his adopted parents, hit home. And I think I pretty much have cried in every single one of James Gunn's superhero movie. It's like, they are just phenomenal in every way.
I think that one of the things that is a highlight of Gunn's writing is how he is able to bring heart to humor and humor to heart, if that makes sense. Like, he is able to take the most ridiculous premise and make you like feel strong emotions. Like in the Suicide Squad, one of the most pivotal, heartbreaking moments is when like Polka Dot Man sacrifices himself. That's really sad, even though he's a ridiculous fucking character. And then the emotional highlight is when Rat Girl is like narrating a flashback she has with her dad while Harley Quinn swims through the eyeball juice of a giant fucking starfish and stabs it while a bunch of rats eat it from the inside out. It's an absurd scene, but it's very emotional.
Yeah, because they flash to Taika Waititi pretty much.
When he's like, like why do I love rats so much? Like, because they show that like even the smallest of us are worth something. And it's just like, damn. And then it cuts to like the Suicide Squad. It's like, damn, that actually oofed me a little bit.
He knows like the reason why we see movies is because of the emotions. Let me do it with Paltrow. We come to this place for a feeling. I want to say that indescribable feeling when the lights begin to dim and we are transported. Somehow, heartbreak feels good in a place like this. I would pay $100, like straight right now, if I go into a next movie and I never see that again. Never.
John, that's an important part of the movie.
It is not an important part.
It's not a movie until you. It's not a movie.
I hate how many times when there's a bunch of trailers and I think the movie is about to play, and then she comes up on screen and says that.
But I mean, you should expect it by now. Though.
I know, I should expect it. But we had like 30 minutes of previews before this movie, and I was anticipating this movie for a long ass time. And
Nicole Kidman. I said Gwyneth Paltrow. I knew that wasn't right. I was like, Nicole. It's Nicole Kidman. But yeah. But yeah, no, that's part of the movie. Like, let's look at it here. Like, Genius has it on the thing. Like, we gotta get the whole effect here. We come to this place for magic. We've come to AMC theaters to laugh, to cry, to care, because we need that, all of us. That indescribable feeling we get when the lights begin to dim, and we go somewhere we've never been before, Not just entertained, but somehow reborn. Together. Dazzling images on a huge silver screen. Sound that I can feel. Somehow, heartbreak feels good in a place like this. Our heroes feel like the best part of us, and stories feel perfect and powerful. Because here, they are. AMC theaters. We make movies better. Also, I wanted to say that they have truncated it because some of these lines, they've cut some of these lines. They made it a lot shorter.
It's like a good minute or two, like, of her just going to the movie theater. And I also hate how they show previews for movies that have been out for decades now.
Yeah, the previews for the movies that have been out for decades are my favorite part of the fact that it's like basically an advertisement for AMC theaters, at which point at the point where you're seeing this, you are already sitting in an AMC theater that you have paid to enter, and you are watching a movie in an AMC theater. So I'm like, why exactly am I getting an advertisement for a theater that I'm already patronizing? It's really fucking funny.
Also, I feel like it hinders me going to theaters. I feel like some people are just annoyed so much of it that they won't go see it in an AMC theater.
I'm sorry, but if you don't see a movie in AMC for that, you're a punk. I like that. That's a dumb reason. Now you can't get through 30 seconds of Nicole Kidman being a little corny. Like, get over yourself. I love to just sit there and quote it in John's ear to make him mad when we're watching.
Yes, you do.
We come to this place for magic, that indescribable feeling. But anyway, we were talking about James Gunn projects. Carry on.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So the next one is going to be Peacemaker Season 2. That's going to be released in August. He's going to write and direct it. Not much is known about the plot. They did show a initial trailer and stuff. But I'm really looking forward to it a lot because Peacemaker Season 1 was phenomenal. Mm-hmm. I loved every second of it. John Cena knows how to play this character. I swore up and down there was no way he was going to be able to make Peacemaker likable after he murdered Rick Flag in the Suicide Squad. And they did it somehow. I will never not be shocked that he managed to make me feel for that character. Because I swore up and down I will never give a damn about this man after he did Rick Flag like that. After I finally cared about Rick Flag, because Rick Flag was such a nothing burger in the first movie. But like he was such an interesting character in the second movie, and then he got killed and betrayed by Peacemaker, and I was like, I'll never like this character. Not only is it a testament to James Gunn's writing, but John Cena is an incredible actor. Yeah. He really is. He's like, other than Dave Bautista, I believe he's one of the best wrestlers turned actors.
What, not The Rock? Dwayne Johnson?
Anyway. Supergirl!
Yeah, Supergirl.
Okay, Supergirl is going to be directed by the director who made I, Tonya.
Oh, okay. Is that a female director?
No, okay. But it is being written by a female writer, though.
Okay, that's good.
The female writer did not write most movies, but she did write some TV shows, including Vampire Diary and Hightown.
Oh, okay. Vampire Diaries I'm familiar with.
Yeah. Pretty much how he describes Supergirl, basically, is that Superman had his parents who loved him as an easygoing upbringing and makes him the hero we know today. And Supergirl, she's kind of a mess, and she has real issues because she, unlike Superman that grew up with his parents, she grew up on a rock. Pretty much Krypton's destruction, and she saw everyone she loved basically.
Yeah, she's like, a lot of people don't realize she's older than Clark, even though like she like reads younger the way that they have her, but just because of age and space stuff. But she's like been around longer than he has. She actually knew Krypton before it was destroyed, whereas Clark was a baby. He didn't really know anything about Krypton.
So it's gonna be interesting to like that become a mess in the beginning, and then.
Yeah, but we saw a little glimpse of that even in this movie where she shows up. She's she's like she's a party girl. She comes and she crashes in there and she like takes crypto or whatever. She's like, thanks for watching him, bitch. And I'm just like, also it's gonna star Millie Alcock, who played young Rhaenyra in House of the Dragon, and she did a great job with that.
Like, I believe she's going to kill it a lot, and we're talking about how they're going to bring over characters from the other universe. Jason Momoa is supposed to be in it as Lobo, a motorcycle bounty hunter and stuff. Mm-hmm. So I'm excited for what's upcoming for DC.
I'm excited for DC movies. Who would have thunk? And John's like, oh, well, maybe in the new MCU movies. And I'm like, I'm not sure. I hope Fantastic Four is good. Don't get me wrong. But I feel like maybe DC and Marvel are only allowed, like, one of them's allowed to be good at a time.
I know you plugged that. I believe they both can be good. I really don't think there is, like, a curse that only one can be good and one can be bad. I don't think that's a thing.
Okay.
We'll
see. Look, Fantastic Four comes out in a few weeks. We'll see. We'll see. This might be the first good Fantastic Four movie. I hope it is, genuinely. And it is the same writer that made Thunderbolts, and I did like Thunderbolts. So I have hopes, but yeah, we'll see.
And we'll see after the Avengers movies. We'll see if you are right.
Okay, well, see, the Avengers movies already starts off on a negative for me because they decided to fucking make fucking goddamn fucking RDJ Doctor Doom something I will never not be outraged about. It represents everything I hate about Marvel. Everything I hate about Marvel Studios, about Disney as a corporation, about the Marvel fandom, about, like, everything that I despise. The moment that he took off that fucking mask and revealed his RDJ is going to be Doctor Doom, I'm like, this is the biggest Hail Mary pass I've ever seen in my life. They are so desperate to bring people back to liking Marvel again that they are just fucking bowing to the fucking bros by being like, if we offer, like, Robert Downey Jr. like $11 billion, seriously, I think he got paid like $20 million or something insane, like begging him to come back just so a few fucking Chads can be happy that their daddy's home. I hate it. I hate everything about it.
As someone who also defends Marvel here and there, like, I 100% agree. Like, that is the most desperate fucking move you could ever fucking do. And as soon as that fucking was revealed, I was like, oh my fucking god, what are you fucking doing? It is so dumb. And we'll see
like,
how...
we tried that shit with, like, minorities and women, but I guess nobody likes that, so back to the white boys. Like, I'm just
we'll see what their plot idea of bringing him back is, and maybe it's good. Who knows?
Not to mention the fact that he should be Romani, like the character is, and there was literally an actor, a Romani actor, who wanted to do the role and would have been perfect for it. And they were like, ooh, but what if we brought back this fucking white guy? God damn it. I hate it. Anyway,
Fantastic Four looks pretty good.
Yeah, Fantastic Four. Woohoo! Yeah. Alright, but anyway, all I have to say, overall, Superman, we liked it. I honestly would give it a solid 7.58 out of 10. I know you don't really do number rankings, but it helps me conceptualize things. But you also enjoyed it?
Oh, I loved it. It's probably... I don't know if it's... I think it's better than Thunderbolts for me, at least, because I was really anticipating this movie a lot. And it's been a while since there has been a good Superman movie.
Yeah. And
I'm just glad DC's finally getting their shit together. Finally.
Now, I can't wait for David Zaslav to ruin it with one of his brilliant cost-cutting ideas.
So anyway, James Gunn, you have to make this next Superman movie with a penny. So, good luck.
One of his brilliant ways to please the shareholders.
God, man.
Even though pretty much nothing that he's done to quote-unquote please the shareholders has done.
It has not fucking worked
like,
at all.
oh wow, no one wants to get an HBO Max anymore. It's almost like we took away all the good stuff.
And his whole decision, I can spend an hour rant
about,
we
could have a whole separate episode about how David Zaslav is an evil megalomaniac who is the death of media.
You just look at the title that switched from Max, HBO, and then back to HBO Max. And I'm like, oh my god, what a disaster that was.
And the thing is, when you change branding like that, that's like expensive. Like, it seems like a minor thing, but you've got to change like the branding everywhere, and then you got to go back and change it again. It's like, oh my god,
what are you doing?
It's like when Elon turned Twitter into X. It's like, you're gonna have to go back and like recreate like packaging for like hundreds of products that have like the company's like Twitter handle on there and shit like that. Like, it's just so stupid, and it's such a lot of effort for what? For one rich man's vanity project. Like, it's not like it serves no purpose. It's so asinine. Anyway, speaking of X, did you see that they were saying that they turned Grok into a Nazi?
Yeah.
Like they like fucking got Grok to be like, I'm a mecha Hitler or whatever.
Yeah, I fucking gave up on that. Also, apparently I heard they put anime waifus or some shit like X, and so can't wait for the anime waifu to say some Nazi shit too.
Oh, I'm with it 100%. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
it's like Grok was saying Nazi shit. They had to take him offline for like 2 days to like reprogram him to stop saying Nazi shit. It was a real disaster. And also the blue check marks on Twitter, were having a heart attack when Grok was taken off for a few days because they had to use their own brains for 3 fucking seconds. Because they'll ask Grok about anything.
Yeah.
Like somebody will be like, it's 90 degrees outside today, and they're like, hey Grok, is this true? Like, have you ever considered using that brain? It'll atrophy, right? You're gonna like get dementia or something. Like your brain does need to be exercised, like anything else in your body. If you're using AI to do all of this stuff, you will literally lose the ability to think, and it's terrifying. It's terrifying. But again, that's a whole other episode. Let's try to circle it back. Anyway, thank you so much for watching or listening to this podcast. We appreciate you as always. And of course, you can follow us on Patreon for early access to our videos and polls and stuff about the stuff we're going to be talking about next. Follow me on Twitch, where I do Twitch things, play video games and such. Join me on Discord. All of that fun stuff.
And DC is back. I'm glad.
DC's back, motherfuckers! Are we gonna become DC bros like all the Snyder bros?
God, no.
Oh my god. Anyway, thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you next time.